Hello Ship Safety Operation, we will learn about personal life-saving equipment. In order to ensure the safety of the ship crew and passengers, the operation on board must comply with the relevant provisions of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea (SOLAS) Convention, the Manila Amendment to the International Convention on Training Certification and Watchkeeping Standards for Seafarers 1978, STCR Convention, and the 2006 Maritime Labour Convention, ILO Convention, strictly abide by the operating procedures, carry out safe operations, and be equipped with all kinds of labor protection equipment that meet the requirements. The crew must be proficient in the use of all kinds of labor protection equipment. Learning objectives: understand and master international measures to prevent industrial accidents. Be familiar with some regulations of ILO on occupational health and prevention of industrial accidents. Study catalog. Learning content. International Labour Organization (ILO) Convention Number 147 and Court State Control (PSC). SOLAS Convention 147 Field State Control (PSC). International Labour Organization (ILO). Since its establishment in 1923, there have been a large number of conventions on three fields: employment qualifications and identity cards, wages, working hours, and manning, social security, benefits on ships and ports, etc. Merchant Shipping Minimum Standards Convention 1975 ILO 147 qualifications, working hours and manning standards to ensure the safety of life at sea, appropriate social security measures, working conditions, and living arrangements on board, etc. ILO Ship Working Conditions Inspection Procedure Guidelines Ship Inspectors Guidelines for 12 listed PSC items. Part of ILO regulations on occupational health and prevention of industrial accidents. Minimum Age Convention 1973, Number 138. The minimum age for employment of seafarers shall not be less than 18 years. Convention on Medical Examination of Seafarers 1946, ILO number 73. Seafarers are required to undergo a medical examination and hold a certificate of competency in medical examination, which shall not exceed 2 years. Under the 1970 Convention for the Prevention of Accidents, Seafarers Articles 4 and 7 to number 134. Member states should formulate provisions for the prevention of industrial accidents through legislation and other means. Revised Convention on the Living Conditions of Seafarers of 1949, ILO number 92. With adequate ventilation and good control, suitable natural lighting, and sufficient artificial lights, the per capita bedroom area of ratings is not less than 185 to 78 square meter. Revised 1946 Seafarers Food and Supplies Convention, Article 5. ILO number 68, provides appropriate food and fresh water in terms of quantity, nutritional value, quality, and variety, according to the number of crew and the duration and nature of voyages. The 1926 Convention on the Terms of the Seafarers Agreement, ILO number 22. The terms of the Seafarers Agreement, signed by both the shipowner or his agent and the seafarer, shall facilitate the seafarer and his advisors to review the terms of the agreement before signing it. The contents of the agreement shall not violate national laws or this convention. The state should legislate to protect the interests of seafarers and seafarers. Under the 1926 Convention on the Repatriation of Seafarers, ILO number 23, seafarers who were sent to shore during or at the end of their employment shall have the right to be returned to their own country, or to the port of employment, or the port where their ship sails, and national law shall determine who bears the cost of seafarers removal. Ship owners' liability in case of illness and injury of seafarers. Convention, ILO number 55. Ship owners should be responsible for diseases, injuries, and deaths of seafarers during the agreed service, and ship owners are obliged to pay repatriation payments to the injured. Maritime Labor Convention 2006 to 2006 ILO number 186. Over the past few decades, although the International Labour Organization has formulated a large number of conventions and recommendations, the problems of conventions are becoming more and more prominent, such as fragmented, outdated, difficult to implement, low ratification rate, and so on. At the 1914 10th Maritime Congress held in Geneva on February 23, 2006, the Maritime Labour Convention 2006 was adopted by 314 votes in favor and none abstention. The structure of the convention. The structure of the Maritime Labour Convention is divided into three levels, namely the text clause, articles, the rule regulations, and the technical code, in which the technical code is divided into Part A mandatory standards and Part B recommendation guidelines. Minimum requirements for seafarers to work on board. Minimum age. The minimum age is 16. Medical examination certificate. Seafarers should hold a valid medical examination certificate before going to work on board. Training and qualifications. In order to ensure that seafarers are capable of performing their duties on board, seafarers must complete personal safety training. Otherwise, he is not allowed to work on the ship. Recruitment and placement. In order to ensure that all seafarers can use an efficient, adequate, and reliable system that does not charge seafarers to find employment opportunities on board, member states should ensure that services operate in an orderly manner, in a manner that protects and promotes the right of seafarers to employment as provided for in the Convention. Conditions of employment. Employment agreement for seafarers. In order to ensure a fair employment agreement for seafarers, the terms and conditions of employment of seafarers shall be specified or mentioned in a clear, legally enforceable written agreement, and shall be consistent with the standards set out in the technical code. Wages. In order to ensure that seafarers are regularly paid full remuneration for their work in accordance with their employment agreements, member states shall require that seafarers working on ships flying their flag be paid their due remuneration at intervals not exceeding 1 month, and in accordance with any applicable collective agreement. Work or rest time. The maximum working time shall not exceed 14 hours in any 24-hour period and 72 hours in any 7 days period. The minimum rest time shall not be less than 10 hours in any 24-hour period and not less than 77 hours in any 7 days period. The rest time may be divided into 2 periods, at most 1, which shall be at least 6 hours, and the interval between the 2 consecutive periods of rest shall not exceed 14 hours. The right to leave. The right to paid leave shall be calculated on the basis of a minimum of 5 calendar days per month of service. Reasonable absence should not be regarded as annual leave. Repatriation. Seafarers have the right to be repatriated without payment. Compensation to seafarers when a ship is lost or sunk. Staffing level. All ships of each member country are equipped with sufficient seafarers on board to ensure the safe and efficient operation of the ship. The ship owner pays compensation to every seafarer on board for unemployment caused by the loss or sinking of the ship. Health protection, medical care, welfare, and social security. Ship and shore medical treatment. In order to protect seafarers' health and ensure their prompt access to ship and shore medical care, ensure that seafarers are provided as well as possible. On-shore workers equally accessible health protection and medical care, including diagnosis, treatment, medicines, and health prevention. Responsibility of ship owners. To ensure protection against the economic consequences of the illness, injury, or death of seafarers, and for seafarers working on board their ships, Ship owners shall be responsible for diseases and injuries arising from employment during the period from the date on which our seafarers begin to perform their duties to the date on which they are deemed to be properly repatriated. To protect health and safety and to prevent accidents, each member state shall ensure that seafarers on board ships flying its flag receive occupational health protection and live, work, and train on board in a safe and hygienic environment. The sub-items could be considered in Social Security, and Social Security protection include medical treatment, sickness allowance, unemployment allowance, old age allowance, industrial injury allowance, family allowance, maternity allowance, sickness disability allowance, and survivor's allowance. Question card guide. That's what this course is all about. Thank you.